SLP31. SLP31.
Speak! There, right!
SLP31.
Aural recap!
SLP31.
Wow, it's me and my group mates. I am Gian, this is Sushi, and this is Dasha. And today, we will be talking about manual and total communication. Let's go!
SLP31.
What could manual communication be?
How does it facilitate patients with hearing problems? Come let us know!
Manual communication refers to communication that is achieved by using the hands, in contrast to verbal communication that is achieved by using the voice.
Manual methods of communication utilize one's ability to communicate through visual stimuli. Manual communication includes American Sign Language. ASL has its own language with its own grammatical rules. It is composed of positions and gestures made with the hands, body, and facial expressions to convey abstract concepts as with any spoken language.
It also has manual English. Manual English uses many of the traditional ASL signs while maintaining English word order and grammar so as to develop one's ability to read and write in English.
And lastly, we have finger spelling. It augments most sign language systems by using hand shapes to code the letters of the alphabet as well as the numbers.
Now let's find out what things to keep in mind in this type of approach.
What to do in this type of approach? Respect. Respect the communication mode of your clients. Use facial expressions and body movements with signs. Always use visual aids to supplement your signs.
What not to do in this type of approach? Don't love that you know sign when you don't. Don't inappropriately sign. Always keep the components and parameters of signing in mind. The first component is handshape. Handshape may be alphabetical or numerical, or they may also take other acceptable forms in your sign language. The second component is palm orientation. In every sign, the hands must be positioned in a certain way. The palms may face your body or may turn away. The third component is location. The place where you make the sign affects its meaning. The sign could be made on your chin, your cheeks, your forehead, or any other parts on your body. It could even be, sign in the space around you. The fourth component is movement. A sign is incomplete without its particular motion. A sign could be quick or drawn out. It could also be grammatical in nature. The last component is non-manual markers. These are visual markers that do not involve the use of hands. As deaf people look mostly at the face for information, which is why as much as 80% of the signs are made on the face or near the face.
Let us find out who this approach is for and the issues it faces.
Applicability. Although signing is primarily used by the deaf or hard of hearing, it can also be used by those who can still hear but want to communicate with people who cannot hear. It is also applicable to those who can still hear but have lost the ability to speak.
So what are the issues it faces? It takes time to master it. Hearing parents with deaf children may also find this method of communication frustrating since they will have to learn sign language in order to communicate with their child. Also, it tends to exclude hearing people from the deaf world, and the only way to communicate is either by writing things down on paper or by knowing sign language. And lastly, this approach requires the use of hands to make gestures. This can be a problem for adults who do not have full use of their hands, such as Parkinson's disease and arthritis. Curious on how it's done in a clinical setting? Let us show you how.
Aural recap!
31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31. 31.
Speak. Very right. Aural recap.
SLP 31.
Spell excuse me. E E X C U S E space M E. Excuse me.
Now let's proceed to the beauty of total communication. Puzzled whether to use sign or oral language to communicate with your child? Worry no more, because total communication is the key. But first, what is it? Total communication is a type of oral rehabilitation approach that uses a range of modalities or any and all communication methods that best fits the person to optimize language development in whatever way is most effective for the individual. It includes manual or sign, gestures, oral, auditory, written communication, and augmentative or curative communication or AAC. But there are some things to remember when doing this approach. What could it be? Let's find out about the do's and don'ts of this approach. First, the do's. Find the best method fit for the individual. Make sure to observe. Second, encourage the client to communicate. Third, be mindful of their actions. Fourth, use appropriately and with care and respect for the individual. And lastly, be aware of those individuals that are touch sensitive, especially when you're going to use the sense of touch. Let's now talk about the don'ts of this approach. First, don't startle them. Second, don't force them to follow you. Let them lead. And third, don't stick to one approach, but instead, multiple methods may be used. Just make sure to find the best approach or best technique that best fits the child.
But who might this be for? And what are the problems of the approach? Let's get to know it. Come with me. For the applicability of this approach, this is for people who have speech and language difficulties, autism spectrum conditions, Down syndrome, multi-sensory impairment, individuals with communication disorder, individuals hard of hearing, and deaf, those who wear hearing aids or cochlear implants, and families and teachers. For the issues of this approach, there is inconsistency and lack of structure in the technique as we try to find and use the best methods possible for them. Thus, changing from one another may be possible, leading to flexibility, which is also an issue as there is no definite method on which one to use. This method used may not fit the person also, so it is important to be aware of the techniques one is currently using. And lastly, develop speech skills as any technique may be possible and not just a speech.
Now, after telling you information and bits of knowledge on this approach, let me show you how it's done. Roll VTR, let's go! So right now, we will be demonstrating total communication. So in total communication, there are different techniques one can do to communicate. It may include non-verbal, language-based, and symbol systems. So right now, we will be demonstrating non-verbal communication. It includes 3 body movements, facial expressions, and gestures. So right now, we have here our client. Can you please come here? So her name is Christy. So as you can see here right now, so her body movement, so it looks like she does not look well, so it may mean something. And then her facial expressions, can you please look up? So as you can see, she's doing like that, so it may mean like something is wrong, and she's doing like that, so it might mean she's hungry. So ma'am, are you hungry? Okay, so she is hungry, okay.
You have plenty of water here.
Oh, you have plenty of water here. Oh, that's nice. I like water.
Oh, water. Okay. Here.
You're welcome.
You're thirsty. Okay. Oh, you want water? I have water. Here. Thank you.
Oh, so you want water? Oh, so she wants water. She's using the glass to symbolize the water. Okay, next. Oh, she's trying to say something. So as you can see, she's drawing. She's using drawing print to convey something. Yes. Oh, so as you can see, it says water here. There's a glass and water, so she wants water. And the last that she can use to demonstrate what she wants to say is, okay, so this one. So Okay, so this one she's showing it's a picture of a glass with a water. So you want water? Water? Okay. So as you can see, we've used different methods to convey. She's using different methods to convey whatever she wants to say to me. So